What's up gamers, Lecture here of the best starting leveling build for Rogue in Diablo 4. Recent buffs to Barrage has improved its ability to clear groups of enemies, enabling the skill to hit more targets and deal more damage to them. Previously I had recommended the Twisting Blades Rogue and then the dual core rapid fire flurry Rogue as the top leveling builds. Those builds remain completely viable and their winning guides can still be found on Icy Veins. The Barrage Rogue is a new addition to the starter options, and I believe it's now the best build to level a new Rogue character. Barrage has an advantage over Twisting Blades of being ranged, although you need to stand close to elites and bosses to shotgun them for maximum damage. Barrage also auto-targets additional enemies, with ricocheting and splitting arrows, to easily clear up all enemies in range. Rapid Fire does deal more single target damage than Barrage, but I found Barrage to be more than enough damage to get into Word Tier 4 and start endgame activities. Also, Barrage is effective at both single target damage and clearing groups of enemies, making the playstyle more simplified compared to builds utilizing dual core skills. The starting build setup for the Barrage Rogue can be found in my winning guide on Icy Veins, complete with a step-by-step skill point allocation and preferred gear to look out for during the early leveling process. Instead of covering all those mundane details in this video guide, let's go over some tips and tricks to help you get to level 100. If you already completed the story campaign, use the campaign skip feature on your new character to focus on the leveling process. The Season 4 patch increased the bonus experience of Word Tier 2 from 20% to 50%, making it much more worthwhile than before. Once your character is newly born into Sanctuary, jump into an active Helltide zone, marked by the red area on the map. Helltides were reworked in the Season 4 patch to have amazing monster density, making it the fastest method for gaining experience starting at level 1. Start with Puncture and Barrage to deal damage, along with Dash and Shadow Step for mobility. Remember to use the written guide to follow along with the skill point allocation. Group enemies up when you're about to level to blast them with a huge explosion of knowledge, gaining a head start on experience in the next level. The huge monster density in Helltides is great, but the Barrage Rogue will struggle a bit at first to kill them all quickly with the limited targeting of Puncture and Barrage. This issue is quickly remedied once you gain Shadow Imbuement to cause area of effect explosions on enemy death. Activate Shadow Imbuement to clear groups of enemies, and Cold Imbuement to shotgun elite enemies up close. As soon as you hit level 15, immediately leave Helltide to start the Rogue True Potential class quest, which you'll need to complete to gain access to the combo point specialization. Follow the quest line into the Forsaken Quarry.
You taught me well.
Don't forget to stop for the event located in the dungeon. Finishing the quest will automatically equip the combo point specialization. From now on, build up to 3 combo points with Puncture before casting Barrage, to fire additional arrows and deal more damage. Taking the time to build combo points helps sustain your energy, and have more uptime on your imbuement casts. You might as well finish the dungeon run before getting back into Helltides with your newly gained power. Keep farming Helltides until you're strong enough to clear the Barrage Stronghold. The enemies there have a minimum level of 40, so you should be able to go there around level 35 with appropriate gearing. Clearing the Barrage Stronghold grants access to Shadowed Plunge, the dungeon that rewards aspect of branching volleys on completion. This Barrage specific aspect is important for the build, so immediately jump into the recently unlocked dungeon. Finish the Shadowed Plunge dungeon to add aspect of branching volleys to your Codex of Power, and then head to the Occultist to imprint the aspect onto your ranged weapon. Imprinting branching volleys onto a two-handed weapon grants a 100% bonus effect, providing Barrage with 100% ricochet damage and 60% chance to split starting with a Tier 1 aspect. What better way to test your improved clearing ability than you guessed it, Helltides. Get back into the grind to level up for your next challenge, the first Capstone Dungeon. You can also prepare for that Capstone Dungeon by doing some early tempering. If you learn the Core Augments manual, head to the blacksmith to temper it onto your weapons. Keep re-rolling the temper until you hopefully land on a chance for Barrage projectiles to cast twice. The first Capstone Dungeon is level 50, so you can attempt it early depending on your character's gear optimization. I was able to smash the first capstone at level 42 in my testing of the Barrage Rogue leveling. Completing the first capstone dungeon unlocks Word Tier 3. As soon as you get into Word Tier 3, head to the gambling NPC in town. Buy crossbows of the obos you have saved up until you get a sacred rare crossbow to gain a huge DPS upgrade. Don't forget to redo your core augment's temper on your new weapon. You can also gamble new sacred rare items for your other gear slots if you like. Dual wielded weapons aren't as important since they are only used for puncture. Enemies in Word Tier 3 Helltide start at level 58, so you might struggle at first if you jumped in at an earlier level. As long as you can kill enemies, the experience gains will quickly catch you up in levels. Another worthwhile tempo you can start doing is the imbuement manual. Keep re-rolling until you get either cold or shadow imbuement additional casts for more uptime on them. Back to grinding Helltides again until you're ready for the second capstone dungeon. I was able to clear the level 70 capstone dungeon at level 58 in my testing. Enter Word Tier 4 once you finish the second capstone dungeon. Repeat the same strategy of gambling for a crossbow, this time obtaining an ancestral rare crossbow. Take a break from Helltide farming and switch to Nightmare dungeons in Word Tier 4. You need to start leveling glyphs as Paragon points are gained after level 50. Make sure you switch over from the leveling guide to the endgame guide on Icy Veins to follow the Paragon setup and best in slot gear setup. Congrats on getting to the endgame of Diablo 4. From here you can keep blasting Nightmare dungeons until all your utilized glyphs are level 21 and your character reaches level 100. You can always go back to Helltides for a good source of legendary item drops while completing whispers for large sums of gold. Good luck on the grind to level 100. Even though I highly recommend starting with the Barrage build, it starts to lack the single target damage needed to kill bosses in high tiers of the pit. The Barrage Rogue is effective at leveling to 100 and completing tier 100 Nightmare dungeons, but you should eventually switch to the Heartseeker, Rapid Fire, or Grenadier Rogue builds if you want to push further past tier 70 of the pit. As always, you can find my written guides for all those rogue builds on Icy Veins. Thanks for watching, and I hope the guides help you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Diablo 4 content. Until next time, peace out and happy slaying.